we take a look at yet another popular VGC 2017 Pokemon in this video. A very dangerous one because of the moves it can bring to bear, and its ability. It's a Pokemon that many trainers fear, no matter how many years have passed since they first laid eyes on it. I'm of course talking about the fearsome Generation 1 Pokemon, Gyarados. Now, before we begin, I am just going to say that, despite how powerful I make Gyarados out to be in the first 10 seconds, this Generation 1 legend is by far not the most powerful of all the Pokemon commonly seen in the higher levels of the VGC scene. But, as with Celesteela, Gyarados' power cannot be disputed. This is a fearsome Pokemon to face, and anyone who isn't even slightly wary of its capabilities will soon find themselves destroyed by it. So let's first start off with what makes Gyarados powerful. I'll just state for the record that it is not the Pokemon's typing or its stats, and not even its moves that makes it dangerous. No, it's who and what works alongside Gyarados that makes it a force to be reckoned with, as well as its ability. But before we look at that, let's look at Gyarados' stats. For stats, Gyarados' impressive stats, with its very high attack, respectable defenses and health, and even more respectable speed, gives it an advantage over other Pokemon that aren't a match for its speed. Gyarados can easily handle itself in any situation. As for typing, this is where Gyarados shows its weaker side, with the typing of water and flying. This typing gives it a dangerous weakness to electric attacks, and a fear of rock types, with only an immunity to ground. However, it does gain some of the most common resistances used in VGC 2017, with the resistance to fire, fighting, steel, water, and bug, 3 of which are most commonly seen in VGC 2017. As for its ability, this is where most people fear the Gyarados, as it gains access to the ability Intimidate. For those unaware, Intimidate lowers the attack stat by 1 stage when a Pokemon with this ability hits the field. In doubles, that stat reduction can be almost crushing because of how physically offensive based most Pokemon are. Having an Intimidate weaken half of your team before the first move is made is almost as bad as suffering an actual attack. Moving on to moves, Gyarados is very versatile, and it's probably this versatility which makes it dangerous. It is able to run powerful moves like Earthquake, Stone Edge, and set up stats with Dragon Dance. The real question isn't what an opponent will run on a Gyarados, it's what they might run that they need to be prepared for. However, as I said before, it's not the stats, typing, ability, or moves Gyarados knows that makes it dangerous. It's the teammates that work alongside Gyarados that makes it truly dangerous. If you notice one thing about the top 8 teams in Premier, of the 6 teams that had one on them, 5 of the 6 had Alolan Marowak on the same team as Gyarados. This is because Alolan Marowak has the ability Lightning Rod, and this covers Gyarados' biggest weakness, electric attacks. With Lightning Rod, a Pokemon with this ability will redirect all electric attacks to it, absorbing the move and increasing its special attack stat by 1. While Marowak won't really benefit from its special attack increase since it's a physically attacking Pokemon, this protects Gyarados from all electric attacks, enabling it to do whatever it wants. Now that we know what makes Gyarados powerful, it's time to figure out how to counter it. Our first Pokemon we're going to bring in to counter it is both expected and required. An electric type Pokemon that knows the move Discharge. The reason why we're running Discharge is because unlike more common moves like Thunderbolt or Thunder, Discharge hits all Pokemon, bypassing abilities like Lightning Rod to hit all Pokemon on the field. The only risk is that using this also hurts your Pokemon, but if you use Protect on that turn, even if Gyarados is with Alolan Marowak, it's going to take a hit one way or another. Our next Pokemon is going to take a stab at its other weakness, Rock type, and for this I'm bringing in an Ultra Beast, specifically Nihilego. Nihilego may be physically frail, but even with a little investment into speed, Nihilego will outspeed a jolly-natured Gyarados unless it has a Dragon Dance boost up. A single Power Gem from Nihilego will be enough to almost one-hit KO it, and if you happen to follow up with another attack, Gyarados falls soon after. Up next is a Pokemon I personally loathe fighting against, but regardless is a counter to Gyarados, Arcanine. Arcanine possesses less defenses and less attack power than Gyarados, but makes up for this by having a powerful speed and move pool. It also gains access to the ability Intimidate, and since very few Gyarados are special attackers, this will slow a Gyarados in its trek without you even need to use a single move. Our final counter is a Tapu. This time though, it's a Tapu Lele. With a modest nature, under the effects of its Psychic Terrain, and equipped with the choice specs, the move Psychic will one-hit KO Gyarados all day. The final advice to defeating Gyarados is to remove its helpers. Pokemon like Alola and Marowak that want to absorb electric attacks will be your biggest targets. If you can remove the ones protecting Gyarados, then this powerful Generation 1 Pokemon will soon find itself outmatched by your team. One other counter to Gyarados I forgot to mention is to use a Pokemon that takes advantage of stat reduction moves and abilities that the opponent employs. And, since you can expect most Gyarados to run Intimidate, a perfect counter is to use a Pokemon like Milotic, which knows the ability Competitive. When Milotic suffers a stat reduction like Intimidate, its competitive ability counters and activates, increasing its special attack by 2 stages. This competitive threat alone forces your opponent to be wary of sending in Gyarados, for fear of making you twice as strong in their attempt to weaken you. So there you have it. What makes Gyarados powerful, what he's weak to, and just a few ways of how to counter it. Until next time, stay tuned my fellow tacticians.